Trooper Proctor, on January 19th, 2022, 10 days before Mr. O'Keefe's death, you were texting with your sister about whether Julie Albert might be available to babysit for your own son.
Oh.
Correct?
Yes.
So in fact, your relationship with the Alberts was close enough that you would consider leaving your own child in the hands of Julie Albert as a babysitter.
You are just a dishonest, corrupt cop. That's why you're acting this way.
And from
The long pauses it's what does it for me. He's incapable of speaking truth. That's exactly how you know it's calculated. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to your favorite show on the internet, Raw, Low, Unfiltered, with your favorite host, the DUI Guy Plus. Hey! Alright, in all seriousness, you guys, I am losing my mind with Proctor Trooper, Trooper Proctor, Proctor Pooper. I can't even decide what to call this man. This man is one of the most vile, appalling human beings on the planet. He makes... I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to make the analogy. It's so disgusting. It's so gross. This man is a menace. He's not here to protect and to serve. He is here to embarrass and insult. That's what he's here to do. And he's going to be protected by the Massachusetts State Police from here until kingdom come. Because they want a man like that. Because he's a tool. He's very useful for them. He does their bidding and he doesn't ask questions. He covers up for his buddies and he protects his own. The thin blue line. Now we know what it's all about. It's all about protecting the likes of Brian Albert, a Boston police officer who should have been accused of murder because a dead body was found on his lawn. Instead, helped cover up for him and pin it all on poor Karen. Let's continue.
Trooper Proctor, you've indicated that your sister is one of your best friends, maybe your best friend.
yes,
Courtney Proctor, that's your name? Courtney
Correct.
Proctor. Elberg?
I'm sorry,
Her last name?
Elberg.
Elberg, with an L. And you're aware that she is also very, very good friends with Jillian Daniels, Julie Albert.
Correct.
Are you aware of any circumstance in which any of the Alberts have been over to your parents' house?
Yes,
Have you ever been over at your parents' house when any of the Alberts have been at your parents' house?
yes,
Those Alberts include Chris Albert, Julie Albert, Colin Albert, correct?
correct.
This man makes my skin crawl.
As a matter of fact, you were on or around January 29th, 2022, you were close enough friends with Julie Albert that she had your personal cell phone in her cell phone, correct? And vice versa.
I wouldn't classify us as close friends at all.
Okay, let me get back to my question. Did you have her cell phone in your phone and did she have yours?
I can't recall if I believe I had her stored in my phone.
Tab 4. All right. If you would turn to tab 4,
And what was this marked for ID?
this was,
Or tell me the numbers at the bottom.
I've got the sheet right here. I've got a cheat sheet. Tab 4 is triple B,
Okay.
as in Bravo. And Your Honor, for the court, I'm looking at page 2625.
Yep.
You have that in front of you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize the participants in this chat?
I do.
The number ending in 5374, you recognize that as being from Julie Albert?
Based off the content of the message, yeah, I recognize this text message from Julie.
And she texts, "This is the weekend I've been waiting for. Michael, please send ski videos if CP doesn't share with me," with a laughing face, correct?
Correct.
That text was sent on February 24th, 2022, wasn't it?
Yes,
That was less than a month after Mr. O'Keefe's death, isn't that right?
correct.
And less than a month after you had been assigned to the investigation in which Julie Albert was a witness, correct?
Correct.
And her husband, Chris Albert, was a witness, correct?
Correct.
And her son, you knew, Colin, was involved as well, correct?
Yes.
Who is CP in that text message?
It's a nickname I have for my sister.
Courtney Proctor, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, if I may have just a moment
Okay.
for Proctor to tab 5, please. That's triple C as in Charlie. Do you have that in front of you, sir?
Yes.
And this would be page 2664. If you return to that page, please.
Okay.
Trooper Proctor, on January 19th, 2022, 10 days before Mr. O'Keefe's death, you were texting with your sister about whether Julie Albert might be available to babysit for your own son.
Oh.
Correct?
Yes.
So, in fact, your relationship with the Alberts was close enough that you would consider leaving your own child in the hands of Julie Albert as a babysitter, as a caregiver for your toddler, correct?
Oh.
I wouldn't say
that's
close
right.
enough. I've hired babysitters that I've had out, but I don't know.
Did you pay
Julie
her?
Albert was among them. Correct?
Yes, she was an option to watch my child.
And then you personally interviewed Julie Albert and Chris Albert in this case on February 10th, 2022.
Sergeant Buchanan and I did, yes.
And you didn't mention a thing about your relationship with Julie Albert, Chris Albert, or Colin Albert in any report that you ever drafted in this case, did you?
I did not.
Not one word, correct?
No, sir.
Wow. That's big. Bias.
You interviewed Julie and Chris Albert at about 5:30 p.m. on the 10th of February, isn't that right?
Yes.
Did either of them, Julie or Chris Albert, mention that their son Colin Albert had been at 34 Fairview Road on the night in question, January 29th?
I'd have to reread the report to refresh my memory on their statements.
Well, let me ask it a different way, if I may have just a moment.
Yes.
You wrote a report on October 12th, 2022, correct?
For which,
Concerning your interview with,
Why don't you show it to him?
I may have the wrong report. Do you recall, Trooper Proctor, ever mentioning that whether or not Julie and Chris mentioned to you that their son had been at 34 Fairview on January 29th? Do you recall that as you sit here?
to the best of my recollection, no.
It was a very short interview with Julie and Chris, was it not?
It was typical length for the information they had to offer.
So you started the interview about 5:30 p.m. It must have been relatively short because you received a phone call by 6:17 from Julie Albert herself, correct?
I don't have the call detail record in front of me, but okay, yes.
Let's look at tab 6, please. Oh, it may not be in your book.
It's not, sir.
Okay, fair enough.
By the way, total side note, I don't know if at the time of the premiere of this video we're already going to be there or not, but we are so close to 450,000 subscribers as I'm recording this video and 300 million views, folks. We're going to hit them probably around simultaneously, maybe one just a little bit sooner than the other. Just a little bit of applause. You guys, this is all you guys. You did this, and you sitting on the couch, and you sitting on the chair, and you sitting on the floor, petting your dog, and you giving little chin scratches to your cat. And yes, you eating the Cheetos. Yes, even you, Grandma, eating those Doritos. Every single one of you contributed to the success of this channel, and I just want to take a moment and say thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're enjoying this content. Back to the show.
You indicated that you might need to look at a phone record or a phone log to determine whether or not that call was made and what time it was made, correct?
If you have that,
May
please.
I approach you on?
Yes.
Thank you.
There's a highlighted portion, Trooper Proctor. Just focus your attention on that and let me know if that refreshes your recollection.
It does, sir. Thank you.
May I approach?
Yes.
You received after your interview, you received a phone call from Julie Albert about 6:17, about 45 minutes after you began the interview and then left, correct?
Yes.
6:21, you called her back and you spoke for 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you discuss the interview?
I don't recall the content of that conversation.
And of course, you never memorialized that in any report, did you? The fact that you had a subsequent phone call with Julie Albert on your personal cell phone.
I did not.
Let's turn to
Wow.
tab 5 one more time.
Now he's doing a little ex parte communications, I guess you might call them.
And if you
Outside
turn
the
to page
investigation and not
26,
memorializing them?
77,
I wonder what was said in that phone call. We'll never know. They're in their heads and in the ether.
Trooper Proctor, after your interview with Julie Albert, your sister, Courtney, texted you, "How did it go at Julie's? She was so nervous." You recall that?
Yes.
How'd it go with Julie?
In fact,
She
you
was so
responded
nervous.
to that with a ha, 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 ha. 4 ha's, right? And then why, question mark, correct?
Correct.
Then you responded, "It was fine, just a quick convo," correct?
Yes.
You were literally reporting back to your sister about the progress of your investigation in a homicide investigation, weren't you?
What?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask it
But
differently.
it's
Were you
true.
reporting your progress to your sister about your investigation?
Objection.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach?
I mean, come on. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing.
Were you reporting your progress of your investigation back to your sister, Courtney Proctor?
No, absolutely not.
You just.
But you did say that the conversation, the formal interview went fine. It was just a quick convo, correct?
In response to my sister indicating Julie was nervous, that's why I told her it was fine.
Trooper Proctor, Julie and Chris Albert were not actually treated like witnesses in a murder investigation. They were treated more like friends. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection.
Is that true?
Absolutely not.
We've established that you're very close with your sister, Courtney, correct?
Correct.
You provided your sister with updates on important advancements during the course of your investigation into this case. Did you not periodically?
I made her aware of newsworthy stuff.
That started as early as January 29th, 2022. Isn't that right?
Don't have the exact date or content.
Well, the day of the incident, you began letting her know that you were involved, that you had been assigned, what the status was,
Yes.
the nature of the case, the fact
Correct.
that it was a homicide, correct?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you discussed who the players were, who the people were that were involved. Isn't that right?
I just mentioned Julie and Chris were out earlier in the evening.
So you mentioned the Alberts, correct?
Julie and Chris, yes.
You also mentioned the McCabes too, didn't you? At some point.
Yes.
Yeah. At 2668, Your Honor, that's the page that I'm
Thank
referring to. Okay. You don't need to show this at this point. You write homicide, correct?
So I said 2668.
Correct. If I have my page number correct.
You're on the right page, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
You wrote the word homicide. Is that right?
Yes.
You were describing to your sister the nature of the case that you are now assigned. Is that right?
Correct.
She wrote, "The Canton thing is a homicide." And you wrote, "Don't say a word to anyone." Correct?
Correct.
And then she wrote, "Of course not." Isn't that right?
Yes.
And then you wrote what?
In the very least, it's suspicious.
In the very least, it's suspicious. Correct?
Correct.
So at that time, at least at the time that you wrote that text on the 29th at 3:05 in the afternoon, you believed that the case was suspicious, right?
It was before we found significant pieces of evidence.
So you believed that it was suspicious that it may involve the Alberts, right?
Oh.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's big.
She then writes, "This is your livelihood," didn't she?
She did.
Meaning this kind of case could make or it could break your career, right?
Objection.
Well, it's true.
She then wrote, "I would never mess with that." Is that right?
Yes.
Your sister, Trooper Proctor, was warning you that you shouldn't be investigating a case in which close friends or family members were involved.
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you take her text, "This is your livelihood, I would never mess with that," as a warning from her that you shouldn't be investigating a case that involved close friends?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Absolutely not. That was in response to "don't say a word to anyone," and that was how I interpreted "this is your livelihood, I would never mess with that."
A couple of minutes later, 3:07 on January 29th, you told your sister, quote, "Julie and Chris were at the bar with the victim and girlfriend. Got to interview them." Is that right?
Yes.
So you were telling Courtney, your sister, updates on what your investigation advancements were, correct? Who
Just
you're
that
gonna
part.
Interview, why you're going to interview him.
Yes.
She wrote, "You got to be kidding me," correct?
Correct.
Did you take that as, "You got to be kidding me, the Alberts are involved"?
No, absolutely not.
And then you wrote, "It's not a big deal," correct?
Correct.
And then she wrote, "I bet I know the person." Sounds like it is, meaning it is a big deal, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what she meant with those messages there.
These are messages. And again, over and over, it seems like, I'm not sure what she meant. No, I don't know. If he was talking with his buddies, he would be like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I know what she meant. But because he's testifying and he's in the hot seat, every response is like, I don't know what she meant. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that was supposed to imply. I don't know what it was supposed to convey. No, I have no idea. These are your messages with your own bloody sister. You know exactly what she meant. You are just a dishonest, corrupt cop. That's why you're acting this way. So there you have it.
But she did write, "I bet I know the person," didn't she?
She did write that, yes.
And you know she's very close with the Alberts, correct?
And she's close with Julie and Chris.
You then wrote, "No, I meant," or you wrote "not." I think you meant "no." "I meant that they were at the bar with them," correct?
Yes.
She writes, "Yeah, I got that part." And then she continues on, "But I know a lot of their friends," correct?
Yes.
Did you see a problem in this exchange?
Nothing jumped out at me.
Your sister's literally explaining that your family friends are suspects or possible suspects in a murder investigation that you're in charge of. Correct?
Objection.
It's true.
On January 30th, 2022 at 9:13 in the morning,
Jury
your
heard
sister
it.
texted you again, quote, "Jesus Christ, the party was at one of the Alberts," correct?
Yes.
And you two were discussing the fact that, to put it in her words, Jesus Christ, these are our friends, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
How did you take her Jesus Christ, the party was at one of the Alberts with 2 exclamation points? How did you take that?
That's
Well,
the way I'm interpreting my sister's text messages was that surprised and shocked that this is where Mr. O'Keefe was found on the front lawn of that residence.
Could it be, Jesus Christ, we know these people?
Again, that's how I read that message.
You don't deny, Trooper Proctor, that you were routinely disclosing to your sister pretty intimate details about the investigation, correct?
yeah.
I wouldn't say intimate. I'd say newsworthy stuff or just generic, nothing
Well,
too specific.
Generic nothings? Is this guy serious?
newsworthy, would you have gone to the news at this point in the investigation? Would you have gone to the news and said, Julie and Chris were at the bar, I gotta go interview them?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
He's
Is
got
that
him.
what you do, Trooper?
No, I would not do that, sir.
So it's not newsworthy. These were details, internal details about the investigation, weren't they?
Yes.
Yes,
And you were sharing them with your sister, Courtney Proctor, correct?
correct.
And Courtney Proctor's best friend is Jillian Daniels, and one of her closest friends is Julie Albert, right?
Correct.
Unbelievable. If he's leaking information to her, obviously she talks to these people, so they will know, they'll be privy to all of this other information. Wow. Wow.
Then on February 1st, 2022, your sister texts you that she's actually meeting with Julie Albert, didn't she?
Meeting?
Yes,
And that was before you ever interviewed Julie, correct?
yes,
So it appears that Courtney was providing information to Julie of some sort before you were able to actually interview her. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
She was, well, let me ask it this way. You don't deny that Courtney was meeting with Julie before you interviewed her, correct?
correct.
And you don't deny that you had been providing information about the case with Courtney before you interviewed Julie, correct?
Provided information that Julie and Chris were at the waterfall and I needed to interview them. Yes, that's the information I shared.
And who knows what you shared verbally
Yeah.
in text messages, correct?
Objection.
Yeah.
Did you, we have text messages, Trooper Proctor. Did you share other information on phone calls with Courtney?
No,
In
So
person?
the only information we're to believe, you talk to her 5 to 6 times a day. The only information that you claim you shared with Courtney about the details of the investigation are contained in these texts, which we have.
Objection.
I'll let you answer that. Can you answer that?
Oh my god.
the
The long pauses is what does it for me. Like, he's incapable of speaking truth once again. He's just like, how do I answer this in the way that least implicates me? Okay, alright, I think I got it. And then the answer comes out. Watch.
information that I share with my sister contained within these texts, yes.
You never discussed this case verbally, over the phone, or in person with Courtney.
On the phone, I'm sure there's been conversations that things that have been newsworthy items that
Oh
have
my god,
gone
the newsworthy coming again.
to the news. There's definitely been conversations in that regard.
Then before you ever interviewed Julie, your sister informed you that Julie actually wanted to get you a gift for your participation on this case, correct?
Yes.
In tab 5, let's turn to page 2672, Trooper Proctor. With court's permission, may we publish?
Yes.
That page, 2672. You see the text from you, what's up?
Yes.
And what's Courtney Proctor's response?
Nothing. I just saw Julie, and she said, when this is all over, she wants to get you a thank you gift. And I respond with, get Elizabeth one.
Hang on just a second. Let's take them one at a time. You were asked about this on direct examination by Mr. Lally, right?
Correct.
And you looked at the jurors, paused, and said, I never asked for a gift. I never received a gift. Elizabeth never asked for a gift. She never received a gift. You remember that?
Correct.
You said you never asked for a gift, correct?
Correct.
What's your next text?
Get Elizabeth one.
Get Elizabeth one what?
Referring to a gift.
Right. So you did, in fact, ask for a gift, didn't you?
For my wife who had been home with my children for the last 10 nights.
From Julie Albert
Yes.
for your participation on this case.
I don't know if that's yes.
Well, Courtney Proctor answers that question by saying, because I guess her and Chris were friends and John, and she's so proud of you for leading this investigation, correct?
Correct.
Wow.
You're aware during the course of your investigation, well, let me ask it this way. Let me ask a foundational question. Do you pull phone records as a matter of course in investigations of this nature?
Yes.
Did you pull phone records in this case, variously?
The phone records of,
Of anybody? Witnesses, suspects,
not witnesses, Mr.
individual people, whatever?
We didn't pull full phone records of witnesses.
Victim?
Victim and Miss Reed.
During the course of your investigation, did you become aware that there were 67 calls between Julie Albert and your sister, Courtney, in the months following John O'Keefe's death?
Objection.
Did you or did you not know that?
Did you become aware during the course of your investigation of the level of communication between Julie Albert, one of the witnesses on the case, and your sister?
Objection.
It's a valid question.
I'm sustaining that objection. You can come try and convince me otherwise if you want, Mr. Jackson.
I can ask it a different way, Your Honor. Thank you. Did you ever seek information about phone calls and communications that Julie Albert may or may not have been having with anybody else?
No.
Didn't download her phone, didn't seek her phone records.
No.
Did Courtney ever tell you that she had consistent communications with Julie Albert? Or did you know that otherwise?
Objection.
During the months, let me ask it this way, during the months following John O'Keefe's death, you did continue to have consistent communications with Courtney, though, didn't you?
Yes, I speak to my sister every day.
Trooper Proctor, were you using Courtney, your sister, as an intermediary between you
That's what I've been thinking.
and Julie Albert?
Absolutely not.
Oh.
You were well aware from the very beginning of your investigation that Colin Albert was, in fact, at
That's a hell of an
34 Fairview
accusation.
on the night in question, right?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you testified at the grand jury, the state court grand jury on this case, that you knew that Colin Albert was at the location, right?
Yes.
Did you make any concerted efforts to keep Colin Albert's name out of this investigation?
No.
Why is it, Trooper Proctor, that Colin Albert's name fails to appear in a single police report until July 18, 2023?
Colin Albert was not at the home. He left at approximately 12:10 a.m. before.
By the way, whoa. We just completely jumped from, why does the name not appear? Well, because it didn't matter. No, let me make it clear. Colin Albert was not at the home because he left at 12:10. Follow the narrative, sir. Wow, that's how you know it's calculated. That's exactly how you know it's calculated. Why does specific time that he left? It's part of that general narrative. Colin Albert was not at the home because he's probably one of the perpetrators. They're trying to keep him out of the house as much as possible when he was probably there. Almost certainly.
Anyone from
At
the
this
waterfall had arrived back there.
Let's look at, obviously, part of the job of an investigator is to be as complete and thorough as possible, correct?
Yes.
You don't just take someone's word for something. You look for corroborating evidence, don't you?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you wouldn't take a witness's word for almost anything in a reasonable investigation, would you?
Objection.
Would you?
Valid question.
No, you can have that.
If I find the witness to be credible and have no reason to lie, then yes, I would take their word.
Would you try to support a witness's statement, or witnesses with an apostrophe, S apostrophe, their statements with corroborating evidence?
Yeah, potentially.
That corroborating evidence might be talking to other witnesses, right?
Yes.
It might be looking at cell phone data, correct?
Correct.
It might be looking at geolocation data, correct?
Yes.
You're trying to find out where someone is. You might pull information from their phone concerning geolocation data, right?
Yes.
You might pull cell tower information, right?
If there's a need for it.
There's myriad ways that you can find out whether someone's telling the truth about where they were and when they were there, right?
Right.
All right, folks. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this other installment of Trooper Michael Proctor's testimony in the Karen Reed murder trial. He is the lead investigator, and oh my God, he's unraveling, and it is beautiful to watch. I'm enjoying every second of it, and I hope you are too. As much as I'm disgusted by this man, I'm actually really enjoying Alan Jackson just picking this guy apart. This goober just disassembling him right in broad daylight. It's just amazing. I love it. I'll see you all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everybody.